Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So it's been a really long time since I filmed a video. I know it hasn't been long since you've seen me on camera, but I haven't filmed in over 2 weeks. And yeah, I'm excited to be back filming, but I do feel like I don't know what I'm doing. So there might be a lot of mistakes in this video, but I wanted to do my 3-month recap and sort of ranking of all of the eyeshadow palettes that I have been using in the last 3 months. And I've been doing this every 3 months, the start of the year. I think I did my first one in March. And then my second one, what was it, sometime in June, maybe sometime around then, I'm not sure. I did get this idea from Alex, and I know a lot of people do this every single month, but for me, I thought, let me do it every 3 months, and then at the end of the year, I'll do my end of year ranking for all the new palettes that I have tried this year. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do today. I have 19 palettes to talk about today, and I've ranked them already. Now the thing is, I have used more than 19 palettes in the last 3 months, but I've tried to stick to the palettes that I've only used 2 or more shades for a particular look. So obviously I have palettes in my pan nose eyeshadows that I use. I have palettes in my pan nose eyeshadows where I only use 1 or 2 shades. And if I haven't used more shades, then I'm not ranking it today. I just don't think it's very fair. There are a couple palettes in here that are newer to me. So actually maybe 3 palettes in here that are newer to me. It's a little bit unfair of me to judge them right now, but I have done multiple looks with them. So I thought that I would still include them in the video and just give my sort of first impressions. And then once I do, you know, no pan left behind on them, which I don't think I have on. Actually, there's 4 palettes in here that are new. I don't think I've done a no pan left behind on them. So once I do that, then I think I will know which ones I like and which ones I don't like too much. So anyway, yes, that's what I'm going to do today. And I'm super excited to be back. So yeah, happy to see all your faces. But I have been watching some of your videos while I've been gone and trying to comment and like as much as I can. But yes, let's get into this. Okay, so the first one's actually a palette that I took with me on holiday. I didn't really have a particular, like a holiday, didn't go to any sort of destination. I just went back to the UK to see my parents. But I did take 2 eyeshadow palettes with me. And I took this one, which is from Donna Beauty. It's the Sand Haze. It's just like, they're trying to be a very Huda Beauty dupe, I guess, just very affordable option. Unfortunately, it kind of is the price tag. This palette is particularly cheap, and you can tell by the formula. So at first I was thinking, oh, actually, this is pretty good. I did a couple of looks. The mattes are definitely the better shades, which I normally wouldn't say that in palettes. I usually always love the shimmers, but the mattes are pretty good actually. They have good pigmentation. I did play around with this one quite a lot, and this one to deepen up some looks. And yeah, I actually tried every single shade while I was away, so it was good, a little way for me to test the palette. But the shimmers definitely let it down, and it's just not a great formula. So I had to rank it well below all of the rest, which all have better formula than this. But I do like the color story, and it was a cute little travel palette, but it might be one that I declutter just simply because the shimmers were really, really bad. Okay, next up we have the Alva from Oden's Eye. I was very sad to put this here. This is one of the palettes that I haven't used to its entirety, but I have used it more than once now. It's in my Shop My Stash, and I am doing a no pan left behind, so I am trying to use all the shades. I just haven't done that yet. And while I'm ranking all of these palettes, I really have to still rank it low. It still lets me down, unfortunately. Really similar to this in terms of the quality. The shimmers are really stiff. They're not creamy at all, and I like creamy shimmers. They're just very hard, and I have to like dig in there to get, I feel like I have to dig a lot to get pigment, which is a little bit unfortunate. And I don't know, it's just so disappointing. I really think the color story is beautiful, and I really wanted this palette for a long time. I got it in the mystery box, and it's just really disappointing. The mattes are decent, although this one over here, Jasmine, doesn't really show up on my skin, and you know, you can see it should be darker than me, but it doesn't show up. There's no pigment on there. Some of the other ones are okay. But yeah, as I said, I haven't tried all of them yet. So once I try all of them, I'm sure I can rank it a little bit better. But I have to rank it here, unfortunately. I had to do it before this one, though. I just had to because, I don't know, I couldn't rank it below that one. It wouldn't be fair. Okay, next up is a tiny little quad here. This is from Chella. It's the La Vie Neutral eyeshadow palette. it's just a really good travel palette. I did have this in my focus palette from my Pan eyeshadows a couple months ago, so that's why I'm ranking it. I could easily hit pan in this if I keep going because it's a good inner corner shade, but it's just 4 shades. There's not much to say about it. The quality is kind of on par with the Alva. I've had better experiences with this though, sadly, with just these 4 shades than I have with the Alva so far, so I ranked it higher, although I think all 3 of these are kind of like the same really, which is unfortunate. Hopefully I changed my mind with the Alva, but yeah, this one, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's just a quad and it's not the best quality, so I have to rank it well below the rest. Alright, sadly I had to go into Oden's Eye again. This one is the Alva 2 Mini Ocean palette. Now, this one, the color story is absolutely beautiful. I do really love the color story, and I was particularly excited about, obviously, this side of the palette. But the one thing that lets this palette down, actually there's 2 things that lets it down for me, but the biggest one, like the biggest gripe I have with it is this shade right here, which is this one, Blue Star. I expected this to be as beautiful as the Jellyfish shade, which is very creamy and beautiful, and I have another Oden's Eye, which I'll be talking about, which has these special shades in the middle, and they're so creamy and beautiful, and they're just stunning. They really are, regardless of what color they are, they're actually really fun to work with. But this one, Blue Star, is stiff. It's just like the Alva palette. The shimmer is super stiff, and it's really hard for me to get a lot of pigment on it. If I get it on my finger, it doesn't really transfer on my lid, and then if I try with a brush, it's just no good. I don't know what's wrong with it. It's just far too dry. Which is such a shame because these 2 blues are really beautiful. So you've got these beautiful blues, you've got this Jellyfish shade, which is really nice, but this shade does let it down. And the second reason why I kind of ranking it low is because these 2 shades, I would have preferred just an all blue palette. I think Haley mentioned this in one of her videos as well, and I think she decluttered this palette, and she said the same thing, like just go with the blue theme, and I think they should have done that. Or if they were trying to add a little bit of like coral or something, like coral reef or whatever, maybe something other than these 2 shades, which is an orange and a brown. I don't know, you could have put a splash of, I don't know, a pink, and I don't know, it's just something different, or yellow, I don't know, just something, because there's like a lot of color in Coral Reef and the ocean. It's not all just blue and brown. I don't know. Next up is from Sosu by Susan Jackson. This is the Azure Allure eyeshadow palette. This one I almost decluttered, but I did do a no pan left behind recently on it in my Shop My Stash, I think. And I really enjoyed it. I still feel like these 2 blues over here, they are incredibly dry, really horrible matte formula to work with. This one is not so bad, and these 2 are decent. What is the reason I kept it is because of the shimmer, in particular this gemstone, which I might actually just depot this really and just keep the ones I like. But I kind of like it. It's like a little cute little gemstone palette for me. And it's, you know, it's kind of a nice palette to pull in if I've got a very light palette. I can just pull this in because obviously these are much more dark. But yeah, I have to rank it here because the color story is not perfect. I can't use it every single day, but there definitely were some shades in here that were stunning, and I didn't end up getting rid of it, so I'm going to rank it here. Okay, here is a palette that I never thought that I would rank so low, but I did work on this in a color pan project, which is a project pan for all your ColourPop items, and I rolled in the Orange You Glad palette. And when I rolled it in, I just was like, oh, I love this palette, let me just get some more use out of it. But when I rolled it in, I realized I was not interested in warm tones at all at the time. I was very much in my cool tone phase, and I ended up hating this when I was wearing it, which was not much fun. And I kind of feel like, although these shades are beautiful, I don't necessarily like orange on myself. I'm wearing a little bit more orange at the moment just because of the time of year. I'm kind of like falling into that autumn fall vibes, and I'm letting it happen. But I think once October is done, I don't think I'm going to continue that. I don't know, but yeah, I need to rank it here. The quality is beautiful. Obviously you do get glitter, but it's just the the colors for me are just not my preference at the moment, so I do need to rank it lower. Okay, moving on, we've got the Sunset Beach from Primark. This one I have been using in the Shop My Stash. I think it was the shot, no it wasn't, it was the Project Pan. It was the musical panning Project Pan. And this actually surprised me, and I did enjoy this more than Orange You Glad, so that's why I'm ranking it one step above, even though the quality and the formula is not as good as ColourPop. So yeah, you'll just have to realize the way that I'm ranking this is it's not like formula first and then everything else follows. It really is just like my preference overall. I have preferred to use this over the other ones, so that's why I'm ranking it here, but definitely not the best quality at all. But I think it's a beautiful color story and perfect for this time of year, to be honest. It's just, I don't know, I can create some really beautiful looks, even though I don't, you know, I kind of went off warm tones. I was still able to use this and enjoy it as opposed to the Orange You Glad, so that's why I'm ranking it one step higher. Okay, moving on, this is the second palette that I took with me recently, and this is the Bronze Rustic from Juvia's Place. Now, when I took this, I thought that I love this palette. I always said, I love this palette, and I do like this palette, and I really like this shade, which I'm trying to pan. However, while I have been away and working on this, I only had this one and the Donna Beauty one. So I had like a pinky mauvey one, and then I had like full-on neutrals, more like warm tone. So that's all I've been doing the last 2 weeks. And I got to know this palette pretty well. I mean, you can see I've got a dent here. I didn't have that before. And it's a beautiful palette, but it's definitely not my favorite. I'm not ranking it any higher just simply because I realized it's not my favorite, and that's fine. I do think the formula is really beautiful. I really do like the shade. I think the mattes are in particular much nicer than I expected them to be, and I actually preferred the mattes to these two shimmers. But yeah, I really like this one as well, which I didn't think I would, but I did use that a couple times while I was away. So yeah, I'm gonna rank it here. Nothing wrong with the palette, I don't know, and maybe it's just that warm tone vibe. I don't know. Okay, so this one is one of the palettes where it's kind of unfair for me to judge it, but I would like to judge it. I really would. I don't know what possessed me to get this one. I know it was on sale. I did do a Nabla haul about 2.5 months ago, so like the last time I did my ranking, and I hadn't tried this, so I didn't rank it. It's a beautiful like mauvey tone neutral palette, and I think I'm gonna get more use out of it come November time, because that's kind of when I really start getting into my pinks and purples. I don't know if that's a good time for everyone else, but I generally do like pinks and purples during this time of year. Kind of after Halloween, after sort of, you know, the autumn leaves are falling, and then you get into like full-on like winter mode. I like my pinks and purples. I don't know why. But anyway, I'm hoping that I jump into this. But what I do know is when I did try this out, the formula was really beautiful. It kind of reminded me of the ABH formula, like the good ABH formula in a way. It wasn't as kick-uppy or powdery in terms of the matte formula, but the shimmers were creamy like that. So I really did like that, and I do like the ABH formula. So I might end up ranking this a little bit higher once I've used more of the shades and I've used it more and I've done more looks. But right now I want to kind of rank it in the middle of the road. This is like number 11 out of 19. So I'm ranking it pretty much almost in the middle, and I think that's a fair place for me to put it. I don't want to rank it any lower because the formula was really good. I do like the color story, that's why I got it. So there's nothing wrong with it, I just haven't used it enough. But yeah, this is where that goes. All right, next up, number 10 is my Naughty Nude from Huda Beauty. So I did do a 1 week, 1 palette with this, and I realized this palette is just not versatile enough for me. It's a little bit reflective. It's a beautiful palette, and I have put it right bang in the middle pretty much because the formula is great. I do like Huda Beauty. I do want to buy their new palette. I absolutely want to get that, but I want to wait until there's a discount on it, so I don't want to spend all that money on it. I just feel like there's a lot of shades in here that are slightly redundant, so I can't rank it any higher because that's kind of like my overall opinion when I did the 1 week, 1 palette. I really liked the looks, but I kind of was losing inspiration, and I think that was the problem that I had with this palette. I think it could be cut down and maybe just be like a 12-pan palette, and it would have been a little bit nicer. What is this, 18? Yeah, 18 shades. I think they could have got rid of 6 and it would have been fine, but it's a beautiful palette, and you know, obviously I'm keeping it. I do like Huda Beauty, but I am going to rank it right smack in the middle. Alright, moving on to my third Oden's Eye. This is the Verdande. This is the palette. When I received my mystery box, and I looked at this, this is the one that I was like, oh, I am not interested in this palette at all. But it is actually really beautiful, and it kind of surprises you. So it's obviously it's got the oranges, but they're beautiful quality. Like this palette, as opposed to the other two ones that I've talked about, every single shade works beautifully, performs beautifully, is stunning, and I actually can get some decent looks out of this palette, even though there's really only 6 shades if you split this middle one up. I really like this palette, and this is like a mauvey shade. You'd think kind of it's like a brown shade, but it's more mauvey, so you can lean into that. This looks like a blue shimmer, but it basically flips to like a yellow, which I really enjoy. It is very glittery, but you just pop it over some other shades and it just transforms them, and it's pretty much a yellow shimmer even though it looks blue. It's really, really stunning. The orange one I think I've only used maybe once or twice, but still really pretty. And yeah, it's not my favorite color story, but I can't deny that I've really, really enjoyed wearing, you know, these shades, and the formula has been a pleasure to use. So had my other Oden's Eye palettes been this same formula quality, I absolutely would have ranked them higher, but they weren't, so it is such a shame. I guess they're like hit and miss, because I've heard a lot of people talk about that with Oden's Eye. Some people love them, some people feel the same way about me, about certain palettes. I definitely think they have really good quality in this one, and I don't know, it kind of throws me off because I wouldn't really want to purchase anything else from Oden's Eye because they are a little bit hit and miss. Just so far in my experience, I've got 3 different palettes. Only one of them is actually a hit, and it's a small palette and it's not a color story that I particularly like. So yeah, it makes me a little bit wary about how that happens. You know, how can you be that inconsistent? But maybe it's me, maybe it's my preferences, who knows. But yeah, that one I'm ranking number 9. Okay, number 8 is the Techni Days from Beauty Bay. I'm ranking this pretty high because I like Beauty Bay quality, and this is just absolutely beautiful and stunning. It's bright. I currently have it in my Shop My Stash, so I have it in my Pan Nose eyeshadow, so I'm working on all of the shades right now, and I'm getting a nice feeling of the palette. It's just, you know, it's kind of a companion palette though. I mean, I have done a few looks with just this palette, but I actually have ended up mixing it with other palettes just, you know, because it is very, very bright, but the shimmers are stunning. They are those beautiful Beauty Bay shimmers. And this is like on sale. I think this is only about £5 at the moment, or €5, so you could definitely pick it up for a steal. And I would absolutely recommend it if you don't have these shades. I didn't really have these shades in other palettes. I don't have like bright, colorful rainbow palettes. So, you know, it was a cute little palette for me, and I love Beauty Bay quality, so I picked it up. But yeah, I'm gonna rank it here because, you know, there's nothing wrong with it. It is a companion palette though, so I can't really rank it any higher. Okay, moving on, we've got It's My Pleasure from ColourPop. This one I was using in one of my projects. Really, really enjoyed it. I think this was also in my ColourPan project pan. But yeah, I've always loved this palette, and so I need to rank it here. I'm not ranking it any higher just simply because these other palettes have a little bit more versatility than this one. This one you really can't go anywhere other than purples and pinks. But the shimmers are really beautiful. The only one that I don't know if I said this when I ranked all of my least favorite shades in a palette. I'm not sure what I picked out of this palette, but I would definitely say this one at this point is my least favorite, which is Chiclet, because everything else works great for me and they're all really beautiful. I might have actually picked this one, which is Fan Fiction, which is, you know, fair enough. But the shimmers are absolutely stunning, and I really, really enjoy this palette. So this one is ranking there. All right, so we only have 6 left. So number 6 is going to be the Nomad Fête de Provence. This is definitely not their newest because they keep coming out with a lot of palettes, but it was new to me. It's only a couple months old, but it's not the newest palette. But I really like it. It's got a lot of versatility. I really like that it's got all of these bright colors over here, and then you've got your darks here. And I haven't actually played around with the darks. I've actually played around with more of the warm tones. I really think this yellow is stunning. And I tried this the other day, this shade, which is Flute de Corset, and it is beautiful. It has a flip of purple to it. It is really, really stunning. I enjoy Nomad quality, so I'm always going to be a stan. I'm not going to buy all of their palettes just simply because it will end up being repetitive at some point. So I'm only just going to go for the ones that I really want to get. They still have all of their older ones, and there's a couple that I still want to get that I never purchased, but I don't know, I need to kind of hold off a little bit because I recently bought quite a lot of palettes that I haven't really worked on, and this is one of them. So before I go out and buy more, I want to use what I have. But yeah, it's a really beautiful palette, and I like that it has a lot of versatility. I haven't used every single shade yet, so I don't think there's any duds, so I am kind of ranking it pretty high for a new palette of mine, but I think it should be here. I don't know, I think it deserves. I haven't been thrown off by anything yet, so that's why I'm ranking it so high. All right, number 5 is a palette that I haven't really used in any projects at all, and it is my Equalizer Volume 2 palette from Sample Beauty. Now this one is stunning, and I am definitely going to pull this for a Shop My Stash in my next Shop My Stash. You heard it here first, because I've been waiting and waiting and waiting to actually use this palette officially. I have done 2 looks with this palette. There are so many shades in here. How many shades? There's 30 shades in here. It's my biggest eyeshadow palette. And I think it is my biggest, yeah, it is my biggest eyeshadow palette, but I kind of equate it to Beauty Bay quality so far from what I've seen. And there are some beautiful multi-chromes in here. This one in particular is beautiful. I used that in my second look. And yeah, I've actually played around with some of these up here, but not so much the mauves and the purples and all of these sort of grungy tones, but I did play around with these brighter tones a couple months ago, so that's why I'm ranking it. And I loved what I saw. I loved the quality of the mattes, I love the quality of the shimmers. It's just a fun color story. I picked it up on a steal. You can get this still on Beauty Bay. I keep seeing it, and it's still on discount. I think it's maybe 30% or 40% off at the moment, so you can actually get it for a decent price. But full price is not even that expensive anyway. And yeah, I might pick up more from Sample Beauty, but to be honest, none of their other palettes sort of shout to me like this one did. I had my eye on this for a good 2 years before I purchased it, or maybe a year and a half. And I was so happy that I did, and I'm so excited to start using it. Like, this one is so beautiful. Can't rank it any higher because it just wouldn't be fair, because I haven't used it enough. And I haven't used all the shades, but I'm ranking super high because I think it's really beautiful, and I've loved the looks that I've done with it. I love the quality, so high hopes for that one. Okay, moving on, we've got a BH Cosmetic palette. We've got the Blueberry Muffin. So I was working on this in Shop My Stash, and I didn't rank it in my last video because I hadn't used it enough, but obviously since then I've used every single shade. I've used it plenty of times. I think I used the palette 10 times in total, and I got a really good feeling for it. It has a lot more versatility than I thought it would when I first purchased it. I was a little bit hesitant to buy it. I've been wanting to buy it for a long time, and then I bought it and I thought, oh no, I bought it and I shouldn't have bought it. But then when I started playing around with it, I was very, very pleased. So you have these obviously beautiful blues, but there is this yummy shade right here, so you can turn some shades into purple shades, and I was doing that quite a bit. And these are stunning inner corner shades, or just pop that over your lid over another matte and you kind of like transform the look. Not a huge fan of these darker tones, but that kind of is me. I just don't like darker tones. So I already knew that when I bought it that I wouldn't be a huge fan of those, but it's a really beautiful palette. BH formula is amazing, so I need to rank it really high. This is what, number 4, so definitely love it. I might have to do, I've got 4 BH Cosmetic palettes now. Not a huge amount, but it might be interesting to see which ones I would rank higher than the other, because it might surprise you, or it might surprise me. So I don't know, I might do like a ranking all of my palettes by brand if I have more than one palette per brand that I own. I don't know, I might do something like that. Let me know if you're interested in seeing something like that. Might be a pretty long video, but having said that, there are obviously a lot of palettes that I only have one of one brand, so I wouldn't rank it. I would just rank the ones where I have multiple palettes. So, you know, it might be interesting. But anyway, number 3 is an oldie but a goodie. It is the Nars Afterglow palette. I pulled this for a Shop My Stash. Wanted to see if I still loved it, and I absolutely still love it, so yes. This one is just a fun palette. It's just I like the formula too, but it's just a fun palette to have. And honestly, I could have traveled with this one, to be honest, but I wanted to work on something that I hadn't used recently, and yeah, I really do like this palette. I think it's stunning. This shade right here is Push It, and it is by far the most amazing shade. It doesn't really look like anything, but when you put it on the lids, it's so beautiful. And I really want to hit pan. I feel like I could hit pan in that. But yeah, this one I have to rank higher. It's my only Nars palette. Don't know if any of the other palettes have this quality, this formula. But I bought this, it was pretty expensive. I think I got it on sale though. But Nars, obviously, as it is Nars, they're pretty expensive. So I just got it on a whim. It was on sale at John Lewis, picked it up, and I was really happy with it. So yeah, this one I'm gonna rank as number 3. And then the last 2 are probably gonna be a little bit boring for everyone because I keep going on about them. But number 2 is gonna be the Nuveau palette from ABH. I would say it's the newest palette, but no, they came out with the Rose Metals, which that is the newest palette. And I have to say, I'm not gonna pick that up at all. It does look pretty, but it doesn't look like anything that I need in my collection. Whereas when I picked this one up, I just love the muted tones of it, and it was something that I just was really drawn to. So, and as a brand, they are a brand that I do kind of want to walk away from. However, obviously I did buy this when it came out because it just sort of pulled me in. But anyway, so this one, I've done a 1 week 1 palette. I have used it and abused it. It is very, very beautiful. But as I said, I love the muted aspect of it. It's very versatile too, which, you know, you might look at it and you might think it's not super versatile, but it is, which I really like. So yeah, I had to rank it super high, and also it is amazing quality. I would say it's better quality than their older palettes, the Jackie Aina, the Norvina, because it's not as powdery, there's not as much kick up, but the impact is still there, it's still pigmented, and the metallic shades are still stunning. There isn't a dud shade in here. I would have preferred this one to be a matte and maybe just a different type of shade or different color, but it's absolutely fine. It's kind of one of these satin shades with a little bit of sparkle, but it's very dark, and there is a little bit of fallout with this one, but it doesn't bother me, so I don't mind that. I just love this palette, so I really, really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed my 1 week 1 palette. If you haven't checked that out, go check it out. But yeah, I really like it. I think it's versatile, and it was a pleasure to do that video. I think with the Naughty Nude, I kind of struggled with looks. With this one, I did not struggle with looks, and I could just use it over and over again. I was trying not to, but I could. So yeah, that one is a palette that I really, really have enjoyed recently. And then my favorite one, which I've spoken about before, is the ABH Norvina. So I think I might have ranked this in my last ranking, but I have been using it a lot, and I did a 1 week 1 palette, so I had to talk about it again. And unfortunately, I think at this point in my life, in my sort of, you know, my makeup, this seems to be my favorite palette at the moment, so I have to always rank it higher. I'm gonna try and step away and not use it for a while, although I am working on this in my pan those eyeshadows. No, in my Zodiac pan I'm working on this, and if I can get another pan that would be great, but I have 1 pan here, and yeah, I love this. I love it. And this one, obviously, it's a mess. It creates a mess. Their metallics are super creamy. They get everywhere. The packaging is terrible. It gets absolutely disgusting, but the shades are beautiful, and they're soft, and they're romantic, and it is a really great everyday palette. It's not an in-your-face palette, so if you want an in-your-face palette, it's not for you. However, the shimmers are stunning and metallic. I mean, not all of them, most of them are, but it's not like super colorful. So if you like bright, colorful looks, obviously it's not your favorite, and it's not gonna be picked by you. But for me, I do pretty normal look. I don't want to say normal looks. I do pretty boring looks, that's what I want to say, and like everyday looks and looks where I feel comfortable in, I feel confident in, and yeah, I do like to do like bright looks every once in a while, and I think they're a lot of fun, but they're not my everyday looks. So this one is definitely like an everyday palette for me, and that's why I think I'm ranking it so high, and because the quality is so good, in my opinion. So that is it. Those are all of the palettes that I have been using the last 3 months. I feel like I've spoken a lot. I'm not used to this. But yeah, let me know if you've tried any of these, what your thoughts are, if any of them you disagree with, and also if you kind of agree about the Oden's Eye palettes. I know that the Healer palette from Angelica is supposed to be really good and a lot better quality than some of their older palettes, and I know that the Alva the Alva is an older palette for them, and that's probably why they put it in their mystery box. They just maybe are trying to get rid of the older formula, I don't really know, but I don't know, it's just such a shame. And let me know if you're going to get the new Huda Beauty, because I think I will. I just want to wait until it's on sale. I don't know. Let me know anything you want to say. But thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you'd like to. I hope that you do. And yeah, I will be filming more videos, so you'll see more of me if you like. But anyway, hope everyone's well. Take care, everyone. Bye.